Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the Mindful Sagittarians podcast. I'm Amber,
And I'm Sally.
and we're here to talk about what we want to talk about, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I cause dumpster fires, you put them out for me, and then you give them some knowledge drops. That's kind of how it works around here.
So do you. You always have a really good way of reading. And speaking of reading, what is this? What do you have?
I
Oh,
think we have the same idea since the end of the year is approaching us.
oh my. It wasn't pre planned at all, y'all. Wink, wink.
At all. Actually, we just talked about it. Like, Amber pulled out
Two
her
seconds
cards,
ago.
and I was like, is this what we're doing?
Let's go. Let's go. Um, so I think I'm going to do past, present, future for next year. Just like what to focus on, like what in the past we may want to work on, what in the present can help us ground us for the year coming and what's coming in the future.
Cool. And then when I read, I'm going to read it for next year, spring, summer, winter, fall. Oh, wow. Spring, summer, fall, winter.
It's all right, winter, fall, yeah,
Fall? That's
maybe winter will come before fall. I mean,
maybe I had Game of Thrones in my mind. Winterfell, Winterfall. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna kind of go over like the overall vibe. Because I think Amber and I were talking about next year's looking a little funky, but
mhm.
we'll see what we get. So Amber, go right ahead.
Oh no, no way.
What? Yo.
I can't make this shit up. It's on camera. It's on camera.
Yeah, we both had Temperance as the first card we pulled, like when we were just shuffling our decks. So this is funny. It was meant to be.
Shit. That's crazy. No, I shuffled. You saw me shuffle.
I saw you shuffle.
That's insane. Okay, well, our first card is Temperance. Our present card is the Page of Swords. And I love our future card because it's the sun. We love
Yeah.
that for our future because there's nothing but positivity coming. And I'm getting just like positive connections and like down to earthness. And we see that the Fool, in this deck, this is actually the Fool and his dog. So it's like this is what happens when you take that leap of faith. I love that for the future. So take that leap of faith, some of you. And the present card is Page of Swords, which means in the present moment, in order for us to have a really good future, we have to worry and work on our words and our mental health. I believe swords represent electronics, uh, our thoughts, and our words, not necessarily our actions, but what we're saying and what we're thinking about. Because it's a very much of an air sign, and electricity is also part of like air. Because that's where lightning comes from. It comes from the sky, for the most part. And yeah, so that's what we have to work on in the present is working on our words. And from our past, we need to remember that our past took time to get to where it was, and that if we look back at it too much, um, it's not going to help us move forward. And also, if it's coming to like mental health stuff, be patient with some of the past stuff. I think because our episode, we're going to talk a little bit about therapy and confidence later. So that also kind of ties in really well. Let's see what you get, Sally.
I love this
Oh,
for us, especially since Temperance represents Sagittarius.
let's go.
And also, before I pull cards, we have a very special guest or two today.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where mine is. He's run off.
Everyone, I would like you to meet my daughter. This is Molly.
Hi. Everyone's cheering.
Molly is a Scorpio. She's 2, and she is a Chihuahua. She is a miniature Chihuahua, although
The
she seems
baby.
a lot bigger. But she is visiting me for a couple of days. So, yeah, if you hear random barking, that's what it is.
For
She's
the viewers out there, she's a cute little chihuahua in a cute sweater that can't see, like if they're not watching it. She's in a cute little green sweater and she's got miniature pincher coloration. Very Doberman-esque coloration. So black and brown with the cute little brown eyebrows.
and she's in Slytherin green. because we're Slytherins.
Leather and green. Let's go.
All right. She kept trying to like sit on the hand that I need to like grab cards. So, before I get started, what's interesting is at the bottom of the deck, I have the world.
Mhm.
She's clothed, but it's okay. I'm gonna do it anyway. So we have the world. The world is the last card of the major arcana in the tarot deck. The Fool's Journey starts with the Fool, ends with the world. World is about cycles closing out. It's about things coming to an end so that new beginnings may happen. So I think that's very appropriate for this end of year going into next year reading because today is December 30th. So we're nearing the end of the year. So yeah, let's see what we get. I'm going to intuitively pick cards because this one it's hard to and everybody pulls cards differently. So
Mhm.
all right. So I got spring, summer. Okay.
Mm.
Hmm. Okay. Fall. That's appropriate. I like that. Oh, winter. All right. Okay, you ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. So starting in the spring, we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse.
Mm.
So the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and Pentacles represents Earth sign energy. So we have Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. It's a very grounded energy, but I think we're all going to start off spring as a collective feeling a little uneasy, a little ungrounded, because there's a lot of uncertainty going on. There's a lot of things happening. I can tell you, I know like timelines have been shifting and converging and just lots of stuff happening in the latter part of this year. Also with money and resources, I feel like a lot of us are recovering from Christmas and um just a lot of changes happening over the fall and the winter, and you're just kind of like getting back on your feet. So I think spring is kind of like a recovery period for a lot of us, to where we want to feel financially stable again, where we want to feel grounded again, and just kind of taking our time from January to March there. Now, in the summer, we have the Magician in reverse. Okay, I think this is a warning kind of to make sure coming out of spring you're a little bit more grounded because the magician is about manifestation, right? But it's also about not just manifesting positive things, but you can also negatively manifest things. So during the summer coming out of spring, don't feel defeated. Continue to think and imagine and wish for those good things to happen to you. Because if you're in a negative headspace, you're not going to manifest anything but bad things for yourself. So you don't want to be in that headspace. So spend the summer continuing to kind of come out of that, hey, I'm in a needy mindset, like I'm in a in need mindset. I can make the things happen for myself. Okay. Because in the fall, we have the Knight of Cups upright. The cups suit is about emotions. It's also for water signs. So we have Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. Knight of Cups generally represents following your heart. So I feel like a lot of us in the fall are going to feel get in our feelings a lot. You might have a new love interest coming in. You might have a lot of new friendship opportunities coming in, but it's imperative for you to spend the first part of the year kind of gathering yourself and grounding yourself, getting your mental health back in order, emotional health back in order, so that by the fall, you can kind of open your heart to new connections. Because in the winter, we have judgment in reverse.
Mm.
Yeah, so winter time is gonna be a little funky. I feel like the feeling that I'm getting with this is after the fall, we're opening up to new connections. In order to make room and to give yourself the bandwidth that you need, you're going to be leaving a lot of things behind that no longer serve you. So I feel like with the judgment card, you're gonna have a hard time kind of balancing out who needs to stay in your life, who needs to go. And also just with yourself, like I see purging. I see like getting rid of a lot of stuff, having a yard sale, or like just kind of like donating a lot of stuff to kind of going into 2026, kind of going in fresh. Because I feel like 2025 is the year everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to do all these things. No, I think 2025 is going to be more of a recovery period from 2024. So kind of like the first half of the year, kind of continue to work on those things. Fall, have a little bit of reprieve, have a little positivity, and then in the winter, kind of like I have to make these decisions to cut people off that no longer serve me because I've been putting it off for a year. That way, going into 2026, we'll be talking to you this time then to give you a prediction of what's happening in 2026. But I don't think it's bad. I think the combination of our two readings here, it's just mental health is going to be a big topic. Just keeping yourself grounded and opening yourself up, um, even though you don't feel like you can.
I agree. While you were talking about that last bit, I was looking at the sun. Have you seen the show Fallout?
No, I know about, hold on, are you talking about yeah, based on the game, right? Or the game's based
Yeah.
on it? Yes, it's good.
This kind of looks like the artificial, like the vault, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Like it's giving like you're gonna have fun and be safe, but you're gonna like be underground about it. Like you're gonna hide it, but you're
Uh-huh.
gonna have a really good time. Like I don't, I feel like community because like that movie really showed like the vault people were very about community and making things themselves. Like I really feel like next year is going to be about that community and like really checking in with people, which kind of tracks with what you were talking about like with the winter and everything. I think because you were just like, yeah, you're gonna have to let things go and like really and let people go. And I'm like, oh yeah. And like in that show, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, are we aligned? No, okay, bye. Like,
Yeah, like I just split the deck, right? To kind of get like the overall message for the year. You have the Devil in reverse
ooh,
and you have
double
the Five of
first.
Pentacles. So I feel like
Yeah, Five of Pentacles.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, for me, Five of Pentacles is about like remembering to not shy away from asking for help and that um you just have to walk in and ask for help. Like they're outside of the church and that's all they have to do. So like help is there, but you can't have an ego about it. You have to go ask for help and like lean on people.
Yeah, no,
For me,
absolutely.
that's what it reads as. I would love to hear what you have to say about that one.
So for the Five of Pentacles, I always read it in general as if someone's in a very I need mindset. Whether that's I need
Yeah.
more money, I need more friends, I need more love, I need things. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the Pentacles are about material things generally. So
Yeah.
I agree with you about being in that position to ask for help. When this card is in the reverse, I kind of read it that way. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people are still going to be stuck in that. I'm not going to ask for help because I can do it on my own. I don't want to be vulnerable and let people know. And in the beginning part of the year, I feel like that's going to be a big theme. Like as I'm recovering, and I'm trying to get myself together, I'm not going to lean on people. And I think you bring up a really good point. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I have a really bad habit and had a really bad habit of not asking for help when I needed it. And your friends want to help you. People who love you want to help you. Give them a chance to be, to feel needed because people like to feel needed. And with the devil, I'll be happy to hear your thoughts on it.
You first.
But like the devil in reverse kind of tells me that you're kind of getting out of your villain era here in the latter part of 2024. You're kind of like, yeah, I kind of get who I am now. I've been practicing a little bit more self-care. I've been focusing on myself, buying the things I want to buy, doing the things I want to do. And now you're kind of like slowing down a little bit to kind of see what you can do to impact people around you. But I would say that still keep in mind because of this Five of Pentacles energy that you still need to focus on yourself. You can still help people by one, helping yourself, and two, by being in a better position to help others. You can't empty your cup out completely and then help other people and then put yourself in that position that you were in at the beginning of 2024 because just looking back into past stuff just as a collective, I feel like the beginning of 2024 wasn't that great for us as a collective. So just let's just keep that in mind and be mindful of ourselves and our mental health and our capabilities. Don't overstretch yourself. But what do you get with the devil in reverse?
For me, Devil in Reverse is the chain like when it's upright for the ones that I have, they're usually it's the image of the two people chained up. But
Hmm.
when it's reversed, the chains fall off of you. So you're realizing you're not as trapped when it's in reverse than you think you are. Like your perception is warped because that's what the devil likes to do. The devil likes to warp your perception, as they say, devil's in the details.
Ooh.
Um, and because of that, being in reverse, it's like, and and it adds to what you're saying about like feeling. It's like the chains are obligation, and you're not as obligated to help, like to do work for other people as much as you think you are. Like you're not as trapped in your job as you think you are. You're not as trapped in your lifestyle as you think you are. You can always change because the chains are a false perception of being trapped. So next year it sounds, for me, from my perspective, next year it sounds like um you're not as trapped or helpless as you think you are. And I like that for everybody, because the devil upright is, you think that you're trapped and you're allowing yourself to be trapped, whereas um it being reversed is like you're waking up to it, like you're kind of aware that it's very similar to Eight of Swords, where if she just rubbed, or he or they, whoever's in the card, if they just rubbed their bindings next to the swords, they'd be free, and they have the answer right next to them. And I feel the devil is even easier because the chains are going to fall off if it's in reverse.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that about the Eight of Swords. Because most like traditional Eight of Swords are depicted with like the moon in the corner of the card and they're blindfolded, but like they look like they're behind like this wall of eight swords, kind of like caging them in, but there's always a space big enough for them to get out. And also their bindings never look like they're really holding on that tight. I've seen so many different interpretations of this card, but it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like you said, it's like trust your intuition, know yourself. Understand like if you just, you know, got close enough to the swords, you can undo your bindings. If you wiggled a little bit, you can undo your bindings, take your blindfold off and see the moon and follow the moon, follow your intuition.
Yeah, with mine, she's indoors, but you see, like, if she just like moved around on the chair, um, she'd be able to just get her bindings undone. Like she has the stuff nearby her. Normally they're like stuck in the ground
Mhm.
around the person and they're blindfolded, but it's just like if she just allowed herself to be curious a little bit, she could just get these ropes off. If she just like leaned this way or that way or stood up, it'd probably cut. And that's how I feel about the devil. Because in my deck, he has in the Rider Waite Smith, they're chained up, the people. Like in mine, they're puppet. They're puppets.
Yeah, like look at this. So this is my Eight of Swords.
Yeah.
And you
If
see
she
the
just picked up, like she could just pick up a sword.
yeah, but she's literally like walking out. She's walking
Yeah.
out, but like she has like a veil covering her face. So
Yeah, mine
it's
has
really
a
interesting.
blindfold too.
Yeah, it's interesting how different cards of the same like suit in different decks like are represented so differently.
Hmm.
So like this, if I didn't know what the hell I was doing and I just picked up this card, I'd be like, oh, she's walking out from like behind this wall that she thought was there. Um,
Hmm.
so like
Or
yeah.
she's walking through danger that she's not aware of.
Oh, and then that's cool. I just noticed the devil in the details. Um, there's like a red string running through, and there's a red
Oh,
string here. So like one's
that
between
might be
the legs
hard.
here, and then one she's holding onto.
Mm.
So that's an interesting
Interpretation.
depiction. And it also like it reminds me of the red string of fate. That story.
Oh yeah, like in anime and stuff.
Yeah, just like having that connection to someone and also just it reminds me of like the tapestry of fate with
I
like Greek
feel like
mythology.
the tapestry is usually represented as gold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean I really like your deck. That's pretty cool.
I love this deck. This was one of my first decks. Um, I got rid of it and then I had to re-get it because I missed it so much.
I
Had a
understand.
mini. had a mini for a long time because I thought that would be enough. And I was like, no, I need my big deck.
Nah, once you
Like,
get
I
full
need
size
it back.
cards, they don't feel the same.
So we wanted to talk about therapy because that's been kind of on our minds lately, and specifically confidence versus cockiness. Because I feel like we were representing that, like a cocky person wouldn't be sharing ideas about tarot. Like they wouldn't be able to like take in other people's perceptions or opinions on like a tarot card, for instance, right?
hmm Yeah, no,
So I think,
definitely.
yeah. And me and Sally were talking about how before we were talking about that interesting difference between confidence and cockiness and like how it represents itself in our body. When did you notice that you could understand and differentiate the difference between confidence versus cockiness?
So I became very aware of the difference between confidence cocky at the beginning of this year in like non-spiritually related, like my job, my full-time job. Like my boss and I sat down and we had a conversation about it because
Mm,
it was kind of like, you're really good at what you do. Everyone knows that, but speak louder in action. Like people know you're good at what you do, but you don't necessarily have to say it, like basically it's like self-promotion, which is funny because my personality type, MBTI wise, it's called the campaigner personality. So I'm always like,
mm,
campaigning for myself because I have to fight for my place at the table. I work in a very male dominated industry. So when he told me that, and he was just like, you could do the things, just like you don't have to speak so much on it because you're showing through action that you can do these things, even though you feel like you're at a disadvantage because you work with a lot of men, or you're
mm.
newer into the position, or you're new to the store. If, for those of you who are listening on Spotify, Amber's cat is walking across the screen and shaking their tail in Amber's face.
They're not my cat. They're my Airbnb slash current roommate's cat. His name is Cookies, and I'm gonna miss him very much. And I'm glad he will be immortalized in this podcast.
I love it.
He's trying to find a comfy place. Hi, Cookies. Trying to find a comfy place to lay down. Yeah, you're so cute.
And Molly's over
Uh,
here, like laying down asleep. Um, but yeah, so that's when I started realizing that there's a difference between coming across as cocky and coming across as confident. So as time went on, fast forward into the latter part of this year, where I went through a
mhm,
major breakup, I was starting to become independent again and like kind of learning who I was. I was sitting in therapy, um, and my therapist's name is Rebecca. She's super cool. I love that therapy is so much more accessible now. But anyway, so my therapist, Rebecca, lives here in Savannah, but we do virtual appointments. And this was probably like the second or third time we met up. And she knows that, I'm a psychic medium. I read tarot.
yeah.
I do the things. Because what she said to me was, oh, well, you live in Savannah, so that tracks. Well, that's cool. Like, if you want to talk about it, cool. If you don't, that's okay. And I was like, well, it's a big part of my life. So, cool. Anyway, we were talking about, you know, a little bit of everything, but we got to talking about my feeling of self-worth and self-validation and feeling worthless and feeling like I was not good enough.
Mm,
And she said, Sally, it is okay to be confident in what you do. Because I think I was telling her that I was having some moments where I was doubting like my abilities or like, am I gaslighting myself? I'm trying to check myself throughout these processes, when I'm reading for other people, when I'm reading for myself. When you don't have outside validation, sometimes you kind of gaslight yourself a little bit into thinking like, oh, I can't do this. Like this isn't right. I must be wrong when you go into the self-validation stage. So that's when she
oh
was
yeah.
like, Sally, did you see the thing? Yes. Did you hear the thing? Yes. Do you feel like you were right? Yes. Okay, then you're right. She was like,
Yeah.
I'm not psychic, but I can tell you if you feel it in your gut that that is the right answer, then it is. And nobody can tell you any differently. Validate yourself. before looking for validation from other people. She said, if you don't validate yourself before then, no matter what other people say, it's not going to matter. You're still going to
Yeah.
go to another person and ask the same question until you just run out of options. And then you're going to find something else to doubt yourself about. She says, if you are confident in your abilities and your gift of divination, then believe in yourself. You're not being cocky. You're being confident in your ability to do whatever it is that you do. Now, cockiness is coming across like you're better than everyone, that everyone else is doing it wrong. You don't want to discuss it with anybody because your way is the only way. She says, I don't see that with
Mm.
you. She says, you've done a lot of work um, from, just being in your full-time job, delving into the spiritual things. You've done the work that you're in a much better place than I thought you were going to be originally. But she said, this was like our third appointment. She said, just in 2 months, you've made such progress. I'm really proud of you. She was like, have confidence in yourself because
We love that.
yeah, no one else can put that there for you. You have to validate yourself. So I say that to say this, for those of you out there with psychic abilities that you're working on and you feel like you hit a lot of roadblocks and a lot of walls, don't look to other people to validate you. If you look to others for input and to kind of compare notes and see if you get the same reads, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. Collaboration is great. I love collaborative learning, right? We all learn so much more. But don't
Mhm.
gaslight yourself into thinking that you are not psychic. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking that you are wrong, that what you're seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting is wrong because we all have different abilities. We all have different degrees of abilities. We all sense things differently. And just like the tarot cards at the beginning of this podcast, we can look at the same exact card and interpret them differently, but it doesn't make any of us wrong. We just have different
Mhm.
perspective that we're bringing to the table. So please, 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 for the sake of your mental health, I say this with experience, from experience, because I have put myself in the hot seat. Validate yourself, because if not, you're going to get to the point where you either one, leave the spiritual community, two, shut your gifts off, shut your abilities off, and just think that, hey, I'm just going to go back to normal life. And if that's the choice for you, that's the choice for you. But I'm telling you right now, if you don't validate yourself and get to a good headspace with yourself before you talk to other people, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to be kind of stuck in place. So that was like my tangent for the evening. Sorry.
No, it was a great story. That's why I didn't interrupt because it flowed really well, and I just want to add to it, to be honest. And then I'll go to the other side of it. What I really liked about that story was what it sounded like to me was that you found self-trust. You were able to finally trust your abilities and trust that you understood the difference between confidence and cockiness. And um and then to the other thing, for me, I've actually just recently got out of therapy. I've been doing it for 4 years. My therapist was like, wow, it sounds like you actually don't really need me around anymore because you've been doing the work. Um, and to just real quick to the listeners, therapy journey is, you can have a therapist all your life, and that's okay. You can have a therapist for a few months and only go back to them when someone dies or when you need to work through grief or something specific. You could never be in therapy, and that is okay. All healing journeys are valid, and there is no there's no right way to do something, or a specific set time frame for you to be healed, because we're always going to be working. That's the whole point of being on this plane, is to grow. But I told one of my friends, one of my guy friends, we were we were getting cookout, and I mentioned it. I was like, I'm kind of nervous. I'm not going to be in therapy anymore because my therapist says I'm kind of done. And he's like, you're not done. He's like, really? He's like, you could always go back if you want to. And I'm like, yeah. And it just kind of felt like he was having a him moment, and it wasn't actually at me. Like, if I was younger, I would have thought that I was being cocky and I was making him feel uncomfortable. But I was just confident that I had actually done the work, and I realized that I can trust myself and I can lower my disability symptoms to a point where I may or may not need a service dog, or I can choose to have one. And that was a really big thing for me. But in that moment, he was having his own ego death kind of thing. And he was mostly projecting his own shit, and not realizing that I was just being confident and voicing how scared, but also happy and proud I was of getting over it. Um, and it sounds like in your story, Sally, that that could have been what the boss was doing too, was that he was possibly frustrated that you knew better. I don't know if I heard that. Like, because I mean, I've also been in male dominated industries, and they don't really like letting us women's know that we're right.
Well, the good thing is that I have like the best boss in the world. Like literally, I was
Yay.
out for a month with COVID. He was super understanding. I had to take time to move. Like I've had a lot of things come up, and he knows that I've had like a hard time like with my mental health this past couple of months.
Mm.
And it was super validating because he was just like we had some conversations about it, and then he gave me some time to recover, and like 3 weeks later he showed up at my store and he said, welcome back. He says it's nice to have you back. He's like, I knew that you were capable of turning this around and getting back on your feet, and I know you've had a really hard time, and I want you to do what's best for you. And I've never had a boss tell me that ever. Like I don't see him as a boss, I see him as a leader. And that's what I strive to be, is to be a good leader. Being in the industries I have been in, without like culture and good leadership, like people leave. Like it's any industry really,
It's
right?
so simple. Yeah.
Right. But it's like I don't think people understand how important it is that you take care of people, because then people will take care of you.
Facts.
And that's even like it's the same in the spiritual community. Take care of others, be wary of others, like wary in terms of like equal
Have
energetic exchange.
boundaries.
Have
Have
boundaries.
boundaries.
Yes. And like speak your truth. Queen of
Mhm.
Swords, King of Swords, speak your truth. Because like when you were talking about it earlier, yeah, the sword suit, yeah. To me,
Page.
it's about mental clarity and verbalizing your thoughts. It's about
Mm.
saying what you need to say, but being tactful.
I like that it's the Page of Swords because it means that it doesn't have to be perfect yet, and that like the universe understands that you're learning.
That and the
Um,
page makes me laugh because the page is depicted either male or female. So whenever I pull pages, because I remember during Sacred Spaces, I did that one reading and I pulled all
yeah.
four pages, and that was so funny to me. And I was like, oh, you do drag. That is so funny to me. But also the page is a very curious, like young energy. So it's like you said, doesn't have to be perfect. I feel like the page fumbles on their words sometimes. They'll say things just to say it. Like they'll start shit just to start shit, just to see what happens. But then also they're curious as to like, oh, what if? Oh, what if? So
Mhm.
I thought that was really funny the way you interpreted that.
Yeah. Also, like with the hot air balloon in the back of this, like, your ideas will take you places. Your thoughts are going to take you places. So don't think that they're not worth anything.
But don't just blow hot air either and then like not follow through.
Yeah, exactly. Like, harness the thoughts, allow them to propel you into the next chapter. And, like, you know,
I love how all of
he's
this is
just
like
sitting off
tying
screen.
together. I love this.
Yeah, it's just like this is just silly. And we're under time. Look at us doing better on like staying under time. Is there
Yeah.
any let's do some shameful plugs. Where can people find you, Sally? Where can people connect with you? What do you where you at? Where you at, hun?
Where
Where
you
you
at,
at?
girl?
Where
So, so I am most commonly known as Sagittarius Savage Tarot. I do have my website live now, so it's sagittarius.savage.tarot.com, where you can book one-on-one consults with me. I do chaos tarot readings, I do psychic mediumship work, or just chat, whatever. But I also have a Discord called the Savage Den. If you guys want to check that out, if you go to the website, it is there. Amber is actually one of my mods, so woo. But I
Come
generally
say
post a
hi.
lot of yeah, come say hi. I post a lot on TikTok mainly and Instagram, but depending on what happens with TikTok, we will see. I actually kind of teased at a little special something. I don't know if you've seen it, Amber.
I probably haven't.
It's
This is
all good.
shameless plug time.
Shameless. Earlier, you were like
I want to
shameful plugs,
say
and I was
shameful
like,
again. I want to keep saying shameful plug time.
it's all good. So guys, if you're listening to the end, which thank you for listening.
Thank you
Um,
for staying.
yeah, thanks for staying all this time. What a commitment. What a time. I will be launching my Patreon
Woo!
at the
Let's
beginning of
go.
January, to not only give readings and insight, but to also teach how to read tarot. There's going to be courses that are accessible for a certain membership tier and also advanced courses as well. I'm not the
Wow.
tarot expert by any means, but I feel like I have a very unique sense of how I intuitively read. So I'm going to teach you the fundamentals, but also teach you my style of reading because I'm confident in what I do. I'm not afraid to share what I do. So yeah, Amber, where can we find you? Where you at, girl?
Outer space. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I was just thinking David Bowie.
to Major Tom. I am on Instagram at Amber J. Breland, Amber J. Breland on TikTok, Amber J. Breland pretty much anywhere and everywhere. YouTube, I'm something else. My link tree is Colette Perky, which was my burlesque name. Um, mostly you can find me. Instagram is the best place to find me and talk to me. But I'm definitely on the Savage Discord. I'm pretty available. Soon I'm gonna have my own website, but that's gonna be for voiceover work. That's my new thing. But that's
Congrats.
gonna take some time. Yeah, we'll see. It's mostly just getting the website set up for that. So that's just a goal. But eventually I'll have a website. But for now, Instagram is the best place. Facebook is a good place. I have a LinkedIn. Amber J. Breland, find me if you want to chat. I don't really have any plugs when it comes to tarot. I'm kind of a hobbyist now when it comes to tarot. So if you have any questions on the Discord and you can't reach Sally, I am totally down to talk tarot anytime. And here comes cookies for a drive-by.
Love it.
Drive-by kitty.
And while Cookies is doing their drive-by, one last thing, if you don't mind. Um,
Mm.
so for those of you who have seen me around, you've probably seen something about an event called Spirits of Savannah. And
Woo! Let's go.
my company, that I just relaunched, Celestial Event Services, I have partnered up with Theron Beyond the Veil, for their hosted event. This is their
Yay!
first event collaboration with me, and I am super excited to help make this come to fruition. And yeah, so we're going to be in Savannah from January 28th through February 1st. It's two separate sessions. One is Tuesday to Thursday, and the other one is Thursday to Saturday. But we're going to do some paranormal investigations, and we are also going to be doing some really cool stuff. We have like a special VIP event, luncheon, little dinner get together. We also have a scavenger hunt in the works around the city. We have the paranormal
So many
investigation.
things.
Yeah, and we have special guest Rebecca the Ghost Guide and
Woo!
Enika Edenfield, who owns her own ghost tour company. So not only are you going to do a paranormal investigation with Theron Beyond the Veil using some of the best equipment there is out there to be able to get accurate information. I didn't say the most expensive, I said the most accurate information. So you're going to
Accurate.
see, you know, EMF
Got a
meters, you're
backpack.
going to see spirit boxes, you're going to see Phasma box, you're going to see all sorts of stuff. You might see some
Fuck yeah.
chemicals. I don't know. We never
Woo!
know. But Theron has done over, I think, 222 or 23 paranormal investigations during their career span and still going up higher. You also have Rebecca the Ghost Guide. You might have seen her ghost skits. You guys probably all know who Rebecca the Ghost Guide is. She is going to be taking care of the psychic mediumship portion. at this place that we're investigating called the Printmakers Inn. So it's two separate properties. So Theron's going to be on one side with one group, Rebecca's going to be on the other side. They're going to switch groups. So you get the full experience. It's going to be super cool. And then you get to go on a ghost tour with Eni. So yeah, be here or be square. You also have virtual
Where
tickets
can they
available.
find where can they find the tickets?
Tickets go to theronbeyondtheveil.com/spirits of Savannah. If that's too much for you to remember, go to sagittarius.savage.tarot.com. And if you go to the projects and community section, I have a link for the tickets right there. Tickets are selling out pretty fast. We have a month left. We do have virtual tickets, so anywhere in the world, if you would like to get the content afterwards and be a part of this with, be a part remotely. Also, I think there's some like exclusive photos and things that are going out with that too. But we do have, I think, 2 VIP tickets left. That includes staying on the property itself. So you get to stay on a haunted property, so that's really cool. And be part of the VIP event. You can see all the ticket options, like I said, theronbeyondtheveil.com/spirits of Savannah. I hope to see you there. I worked really hard on it. Theron's worked really hard on it. So yeah, come to my city because I live in Savannah. And I can tell you it's spooky.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful event. I wish I could come. Sadly, the funds are not funding. But it sounds like a good time, and I hope our listeners can go if they're available and have the means. And I know some of them are definitely going. I know Persenius is definitely going. Shout out to Persenius.
Yes. And mom's
But yeah,
coming
I
too.
think that's yay! I can't wait. One day I want to meet her. I hope she comes to the next Sacred Spaces, by the way. There is another Sacred Spaces. We don't know the dates, but that just means you have to come back and listen to us yammer on next time to hopefully hear more about it when they tell us, because we don't know.
Yep. Oh, and while we're talking about events, I'm going to do the next meetup in Washington, D.C. and then in Chicago. So I don't know which
Ooh,
order, but for those of you who would like to
a meetup.
yeah, join the Discord. We had a meetup in Richmond. We kind of mentioned in a
That
little
was fun.
special episode, but yeah, it was fun and I would love to do it again. And yeah, so it was Richmond. Now we're gonna do Washington, D.C. and Chicago, Illinois, and I'm gonna do it as long as I can. I love getting out there and meeting everyone, and like everyone has such a cool story to tell, and just sitting there and throwing some cards out. You know what I mean? That was so much fun when we just kind of like were hanging out and just were throwing cards everywhere and just telling each other about ourselves.
It was. I wish I didn't have a doctor's appointment. Otherwise I would have stayed longer with y'all. Um, but yeah, I think we did it. Did we do it?
We did it. We were on. We have a minute to spare. Look at that.
Well, thank you all for listening. We are the Mindful Sagittarians, and I hope to see you next time for our next episode.
Yeah, so good
Bye.
morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you hear us. But thank you for being here. And Amber and I will be back with shenanigans again in 2 weeks.
Dumpster fire, dumpster fire,
Dumpster
dumpster.
fire.